Welcome to the fastest stop in town. Today, let's start this Bava Daf Kuf Hey. We are going to begin on Kuf Hey Amud Aleph, about 8 lines from the top. Chutz mi pacha shava pruta bekeren chul. So this brings us back to the Mishnah on Kuf Gimel Amud Aleph, which says that if a person would be moichel and he would be forgiving the nigzel, it was someone stole, but he says, you know what? I'm moichel on the Karen, that which you stole, but I'm not moichel on the chomesh, on the extra fifth that's supposed to be added when it comes to a case of a shvua. So the din is that ein sarach leil chacharav. You don't have to go after him to give him the chomesh. However, the Gemara Mishnah does say, if you say mochel loyal zev el zeh chutz mipacha shava pruta bekaren ein sarach leil chacharav, that if let's your moichel on everything except for, you do have to pay me back, but it's less than a pruta of the Karen. So because we say anything less than a pruta doesn't have a din mamoin, so therefore also you don't have to give it. However, let's say that he is moichel on everything chutz mishaba pruta b'Karen sochal chacharav. So the amount is a pruta. If he's moichel on everything, but you only have to return less than a pruta, so then you don't have to go after him again if he's in a long, far away location. So in this Gemara says, the only time that we say this din is el shein gazel kayamas. If the gazelle is not here, it's not right in front of you. However, if the gazelle is mamish here, it's right in front of you, so then we say, no, you still have to give it to him. Because what happens if it goes up in value? It says Rashi, so the tamid del pruta. So right now, fine, it's pachas m'sheva pruta, fine. So if you don't have it anymore, so it's just money. So money's half a pruta, and if you never have to give it, you don't have to go find him. But if it's an actual object, right? You stole a bunch of pens, so let's imagine this one pen is less than a shava pruta, but based on supply and demand, maybe one day these pens will become worth a pruta, so therefore you better return even though it's less than shava pruta. That's one lashon. It doesn't make any difference. Why? We don't have to start worrying that maybe this thing's going to go up in value. Okay. Rabbi. Gazal sholosh agudos b'sholosh prutos. So let's say a person stole 3 bundles and there are 3 prutos, which basically would mean that each bundle is a pruta. V'huzlu. And then they went down in value. V'amdu al shtayim. In total, they're only worth 2, which means each bundle is less than a pruta. So im hechselo shtayim, if let's say you already return 2, then chayv hasul acheres, then you should return the other one as well. But Tana Tuna, and our Tana can support this idea that you have to return the whole thing, says Rashi. Why do you have to return the agud acheres? This bundle is not a pruta, because if it's went from 3 to 2 and you have 3 bundles, it means each one is only worth 2/3 of a pruta, let's say. But when you stole it, it was worth a pruta, so boil hadure l'haylicha. So even though, again, at the time of the gazelle, it was worth, because it was worth a pruta, at the time of the gazelle, that's why you have to return it. The Tana Tuna, and our Tana will support this. As we said, that when it comes to Isuri Hana, such as something which happens memela, like chametz becoming, bread becoming chametz, so you can always just give it back. Why? Taima di isab ene. The reason why you can give the actual thing back is because it's actually physically here. So you're actually giving back the thing that you stole. Halesab ene, which is mashma. Let's say it's not around. Let's say it's spent, but you have, let's say, the money you were supposed to give. Even though now it's not considered money because it's Asr Bahana. Kivani Mikar Mamonahu, at the time, B'Shas Gezela, it was Mamoin because it was before Pesach. Boy Shlume, you have to pay. So Hachinam, we can make the same connection. Afagav, the Hashlu Shavapruto, these 3 bundles, that they were 3, but now they're only worth 2. So right now, you return 2 of the bundles. That 3rd bundle is less than a pruta. So you would think maybe not to return it, but since Kibani Mikar Habi Shavapruta, Boy Shlume. So we learn out from Chamashavah Pesach that even though right now it's worthless, but the time you stole it, Shasik Zela, it had value. So therefore you have to return it. You have to return the value. You can't say Harshal Fanecha means you have it in front of you. Because you don't have it in front of you, you have to pay the value. Even though right now it has no value, but you have to pay the value of what it was. So too here. Okay. Boy Rabba. So Rabbi asked the following question. Gazel shte gudais bepruta. Let's say you stole 2 packages, 2 bundles, and there were a pruta each, which means each one was only worth half a pruta. The hikser lo achs mehen, you return one of them. Mahu, what's the din? Mi amrin and hashdaleka gazela. Do we say now there is not gazela? Odilma holo hadr gazela dehavi gabe. He actually didn't return the gazelle that is by him, since the one that he gave is less than a pruta. So therefore, he didn't really maybe do the mitzvah of Hashavas Gazela because he didn't return a gazela. Gazela is something which has value. You stole something which was worth a pruta, but you only returned half of it. So you returned something which is pachas l'sheva pruta. So hadar pashta gazel ein kan hashav ein kan. We say gazel ein kan hashav ein kan. There is no stealing, and therefore there is no returning. So Gemara says, 1 second, gazel ein kan hashav yesh kan. Understand, if there is no gazela, how can we possibly say that there is returning? I don't understand what that logic is. Okay, but this is what it means. Afagav shegazel ein kan mitzvah sashava ein kan. Even though it's not considered to be gazela, because after all, he didn't. Even though it's true, he didn't fulfill his mitzvah of giving it back. Mitzvah hashava ein kan. There's no mitzvah hashava. Okay. Question 5. Al ezat sior oimer Rabba afal hishigzel ein kan hashava ein kan. So he said, in a situation, you stole 2 bundles, which were worth a pruta, and you returned one of them. So there's no more. You had a mitzvah. You could have done the mitzvah of returning the gzela had you returned both at the same time, which would have been the value of a pruta. But now you only returned one, and now the second one is worth a half a pruta because it stayed in the same value. So there's no mitzvah hashava. Okay. Yomi Rava. So this Rava continues. Hari Amru Nazir Shigileach. So you have a situation that as part of the process, a Nazir has to shave. However, let's say he shaved, Vashir shte sa'aros, and he left 2 hairs. Now, he's supposed to completely shave himself. Therefore, lo asavo klum. It's nothing. You have to, a shaving is that, even if you had only 2 hairs to begin with, but you had to have removed those hairs. If you shave, but you're still shte sa'aros remaining, that's nothing. So, boy Rabba, gileach achas, let's say you shaved 1. This is more Nazir and elsewhere. V'nashar achas, and the other one just happened to fall out. So all you did was remove one of the remaining hairs. But the other one, maybe before you had a chance to shave it off, it just fell out naturally. Mahu. So what do you mean? What's the question? You're talking about if you shave 1 hair at a time. If you cut 1 hair at a time, you tell me that's a kasha? Obviously, he shaved, and now he has no more hair on his head. So in other words, the whole mitzvah is when there's 2 hairs, that second to last hair, because that's where the mitzvah is of shaving. So to the point of even if you have 2 hairs, you have to remove them, which means that the actual mitzvah at giluach is if you have 2 hairs, the next hair that you cut. Now, what if that next hair, the second to last piece of hair just fell out by itself, so you didn't actually do shaving. So in that situation, there's no more hair. So what do you want? That's not shaving. He had 2 hairs left, which is not shaving. And he did not shave 2 hairs because at that point he only had 1 hair left because the second to last hair fell out naturally. So Hadar Pashta, very similar lashon. Seir ein kan giluach ein kan. There's no hair, there's no shaving. So again, the Gemara asks the same question. Seir ein kan giluach yesh kan. Understand? You have no hair. How could you shave? Even though there's no hair, mitzvah giluach ein kan. It basically means that you did not do the mitzvah of shaving. Okay, so look at Rashi. Kol hasaros achas achas kimeboile bitmia koimer havadi giluachavi. If you shave 1 hair at a time, kivan de b'shah shabola galeach hai shiur havile shiur giluach. When you get to the second to last hair and you shave it, you shaved. Giluach achas afal pi shenashra shnia giluachu. And therefore, certainly, if let's say you shaved the second to last hair, then the very, very last hair fell out naturally, that would count. However, the other way around, we lose the opportunity of the mitzvah of giluach. So we bring this down because it's a similar idea. V'amru Rabba, Hari Amru, that which we say that a chavius shenikbe. So let's say you have a barrel that has a hole in it, v'sasmuha, and you close it up. Shemarim hitziluha. So the remnants will be able to save it, to consider it as though it's a plugged hole. Well, what is this referring to? So let's look in Rashi. V'nasnu al pi aruba. So what you did was you put this kli by a hole or by a skylight. Now the din is, as Rashi says, as it completely surrounds that area, the tuma babayis matzelas aliyah kula. That if there's tumah in the house, so the question is that tumah could potentially escape through the opening of the aruba of that skylight. So we say that if you have a kli, right, by the skylight, it will block the tumah, so it doesn't go up to the next floor above. Even though it had a hole, but it was clogged up. And therefore, that's considered to be okay. So, boy Rabba, Agav Chatzia Mahu. What if you only, says Rashi, Magufa Agav Chatzia? What if you only plugged up half of it? Says Rashi, V'agav Petit Chatzia, you put some good plaster or something to cover it, but only half the hole. Miamrin and Hashdemiel like a sheer nekev, we can maybe say it doesn't have the measurement of a hole, because as it's brought down in numerous places, it has to be large enough, depending on kli balabatim, kli uman, if it's the size of a rimon, the hole, or even kol shehu. But let's just say we're talking about a particular size of a hole. So if you clog up half of it, so now the hole is now smaller. So therefore, it's not the shear of a hole for it to not constitute as a kli. So we say it's still a kli, and therefore it will block the tumah. Or Rashi says, Dilma holo sosim shir stima. He didn't really close it off. So it's almost like he didn't do anything. So that's the question. So boy Rabbi Agav Chatzimau, Amali Rabbi Yemo, Rabbi Ashi, La Mishnasenu Hizu. What are you asking? What are you asking? It's a Mishnah. You don't know this? Halavai, we should just know Mishnayos, and that we should be taught that way. Denan Chavish Nikve V'Sasmuha Shemarim Hitzilua. So we know from Masechtas Kalim that in fact, if you can clog up the hole, then it will make it now into a good kli, and therefore, yes, it will block the tumah. Okay, that's if it's completely blocked. Okay, Pakaka Bizmaita, let's say it's blocked up with some type of vines which don't have any sediments there. Ad shimareach, until you are able to basically smooth it out with this like plaster on all the sides of the branches. So it's pretty well closed up, but you have like the main part of the hole, you have like vines, which is something that you would normally not use as part of closing it up. But around the perimeter of it, you put teat. So now the hole is pretty intense, and it's no longer a hole. So we said let's say you have two. So he says it has to be smooth from the sides. And between each of its branches. So time of the marach, the only time we say it's closed up is because you put teeth all around it and it's nice and smooth. Halo marach lo. However, it was not a smooth, completely closed up hole. No. So we see this isn't enough, even though the hole isn't the shiur, because if the hole is only halfway covered, so that's not considered to be marach. It's not a smooth, completely closed up, plugged up hole. So obviously half doesn't work. So Amrino Hachash, you can't learn out from there that as a raya. Hasam over there, ilo marach koi. If we're dealing with zmayde, if you don't have it smooth with mud and cement all around it, it's zmayra. They're branches. It's not going to hold at all. The whole thing will just fall apart. Agaf, however, we're dealing with blocking it up with the proper blocking agents. At least it's standing. At least it will stay half. So the whole point is, over there, because we're using Zamaira, so that's the reason why it has to be completely smoothed out. However, if we're dealing with something which is in itself used for plugging holes, so maybe half is enough. So we already established this, that even though it's Isur Hana, you can still say Har Shel Chol and give it back. On this boy Rabbi. So Rabbi asked the following question as we continue to Kuf Hey Amud Beis. Nishbolav Mahu, says Rashi. Lachar Shenesar. Let's say after this chametz became already aser because it's now Pesach. Nishba, you made a shvua. Shein etzloi. Say no, it's not. I don't have it. V'loi gozu mimenu mahu. Mi amrin in hamanach v'yachal lifter boyas atzmo. Maybe he could potter himself. We'll see the Gemara why. V'shtachach delav nemidi kafrei, because he's not really denying anything. So the din of making a shvua sheker to have to pay Karen Chomish Nasham, that is being Toin Tanas Ganav, basically. Or you're not being Toin Tanas Ganav, but you're just basically saying you didn't steal it, even though you did, but you didn't actually make the shvua until after it was already usher. So normally we say if you make a shvua sheker, again, there's a chi of Karen Chomish Nasham, etc. However, here maybe we don't follow that din because the time that you made the shvua and you denied it, you're denying something which is already asur b'hana. Or do we say no? At the time that he mamash stole it, it was still mutar b'hana because it was before Pesach. So let's see the stud. Mi amrina kivan di mignav boy shlumile mamoina. So kakafrele. So as we said before, that if you would actually have stolen it, and it's not around anymore, so he has to actually return it. You only say Har Shel Fanecha if you have the chametz after Pesach. But if not, you still have to return it because even though now it's worthless, because it's asur b'hana, but before Pesach, at the time you stole it, had value. So therefore you would have to return the value of what you stole, and therefore it's considered to be a kfira, like you are denying. And therefore, k'kafrele, odilma hashtimias hamanach. Here it's in front of you, but afar ba'almahu, v'lo kafrele mamayna. Right now it's like afar; it has no value. It's chametz. It's chametz. So milsadi boile l'rava. This question that was posed is actually pshitili l'rabba. Rabba thought this was actually a davar pashut. The Yomi Rabba, as he quotes this we had before, shari ganafta, my ox you stole. You stole my ox. V'omer lo ganafti, I didn't steal it. Mativu etzacha. So what's it doing by you? What do you mean you didn't steal it? So it's in your domain. Shomer chinam ani olav. You made me into a shomer chinam. I'm not a thief. You told me to watch this object. Yes, I do have your ox, but it's not because I stole it. It's because you asked me to watch it for you. And by the way, you're not even paying me for it. And then this guy ends up making a shvua to that effect. Chayiv. We say that if it turns out that he's lying, that he's chayiv to bring a carbon shvua. Now, even though he was moideh before the shvua on the mamoin, because he basically said he has to return. He's definitely saying I have to return the Karen, because it's saying, yes, I have it by me. I have it. It's not mine. This is yours. But I'm a shemachinam. Yeah, of course I'm going to give it back. You want it back? I'll give it back to you now. So before he made a shvua, he was already chayiv in Karen. He already had to return it because he admitted that it wasn't his. So chayiv. So the chiddush is he has to he's still chayiv a carbon shvua. Shari pater atzma b'gneva v'aveda. Because when he made that shvua and said he was a shemachinam, he was trying to pater himself from Geneva and Aveda. Says Rashi, if let's say it was stolen from the time he made a shvua, he was trying to pater himself with this lie. Sharhu atzmo ganvo, he stole it. A ganav is not like one of the Daled Shomrim. A ganav has to return it. There's a din of a shavas gzela. It doesn't make any difference what happened to the animal. You stole it, you have to return it or its value. Masha'enkin, when it comes to shemachinam, he's pater b'gneva aveda. So if it gets lost or stolen, so he wouldn't have to pay for it. So the fact that you made a shvua sheker, you're going to be chayiv for a carbon shvua, because you were trying to pater yourself if from this time after the shvua, you're trying to pater yourself from having to be chayiv if it subsequently gets lost or stolen. What if you say shomer sachrani alav? I am a paid watchman. So again, in this situation, it's the same thing. He was going to give back the Karen, so why would he be chayiv? Because a shomer sachar has more. He would be chayiv by Geneva Aveda, but he's still chayiv. Why? Because he has more rights still as a shemesachar than a ganav. Because if the animal broke its leg or died, even by a shemesachar, he would be potter. So therefore, from the shmuan on, he would end up getting out of it. Shoyel ani alav, he says, no, I borrowed it from you. Now a borrower is chayiv in almost everything, but nonetheless, chayiv shehari potter atzma memesa machmas malacha. A borrower, if it died while it was working, so in that situation, the din is that he would be potter. However, meisa machmas malacha by ganav, you would be chayiv. So when it comes to all the Daled Shomrim, if you were first accused of stealing, you say, no, I was watching it as a shemachinam, a shemesachar, a shayel, it doesn't make any difference. You're still going to be chayiv if you were lying, because you're making it. Even with all these cases, you're still saying, here, of course, it's yours. Give back the Karen. But the reality is, by you saying this shvua, you're making it better for yourself. So, alma afagav the hakoyim, how even though it's true that this animal's around, and you're basically admitting to it, so you're not really being kafir much, tivan de mignav memoinika kafar. However, if it was stolen, then you would be kafir on the money. Even though the object right now, you can take it back. But if the animal wasn't given back, but it was subsequently stolen or lost by shemachinam, or shvur mesa by shemer sachar, or mesa machmas malacha by a shayel, so then all these different situations, you would be pater as one of those shomrim, b'bichayim zagana. So therefore, hashdanam and mamonik kafar, you're really being kafir on the money itself. So hachinami. So too when it comes to chametz shavuot Pesach. 1 second. Chametz shavuot Pesach. This chametz is Asr Bahana. Now, Afal Gav the Afar Ba'almahu, even though the truth is, at the time you made a shvua, it's worthless, it's Afar. Kivan di Mignav, Boy Shlumile, Memoina Malia, Hashtanam Memoina Kakafrle. So too, over here, because even though it's Afar, but as we said, that if it's not around, you have a chiyuv to give back the value when it actually had value before it was stolen. Now, if you have it, you can just give it back, just like the case of the shomrim. But what if it gets lost or stolen? So in that situation, you would be chayiv to actually pay the value of it. And therefore, because of that, you would be chayiv you would be chayiv a shvuos, a carbon shvuah. Okay, Yosef Rava v'karmeluha. All right, so what do I say over here? Since a ganav is chayiv in Geneva Veda, and he lied and said he was a shomer, which makes him potter, so his shvuah is to take money as a loss. He is potentially denying money. So too, by chametz, since if someone would steal it, it is a denial of money and is chayiv. Okay. Hard to read your own handwriting sometimes. Okay. Yosef Rabbi Karmel Shmaisa, you're sitting around and saying over the sugya. So Rabbi Amram, Rabbi asked the kasha to Rabbi. So Rabbi didn't know the answer. Rabbi thought it was a davar pasha based on what we said. But he asked a question on Rabbi. The pasuk says v'chichesh, that he didn't v'chichesh, that he flat out denies it. So it's prat l'moida be'ikr. That excludes if you admit to the thing itself. So keitzad shar ganavti v'hu emel ganavti. I didn't steal it, mati b'letzacha. What are you doing? It's right by you. Ata macharti li, you sold it to me. Ata nasnu li b'matan, you gave it to me as a gift. Avicha machuli, your father sold it to me. Avicha nasnu b'matana, your father gave it to me as a gift. Acha parasi rots, it ran after my cow. In other words, I didn't steal it. It just happened to be running after my property, and you guess you weren't watching your animal, so it ran after my animal. Me'ela bo'etzli, it came by itself. Toya b'derech mitzasi, it was wandering around on the road. And here's the key words: shomer chinam ani. I am a shomer chinam. So therefore, yes, you gave it to me. I didn't steal it. You gave it to me. Mamash the same case. Alav shomer sachani alav shoylani alav v'nishba b'hoida. So what do we say up until now? The next words of the Gemara should say that he should still be chayiv a shvuas carbon, because he's pottering himself if, let's say, it gets stolen or lost, or again mesa machmas malacha or shvur mesa. That's what it says. Yochel yehi chayiv. You would think you would be chayiv. Tom loim of chichishba. You deny it. Prat l'mayda be'ikr. So this is actually a kasha on Rabba, or it's a kasha really. Again, the Omer Rabba. Rabba is the one who said this whole statement, and Rabba said that you actually would be. Rabbi said you'd be chayiv in that case. Here it's clear, it says you're potter. So Amalei Tedura, says Rashi, Ein Lave, no heart. Ki Tanya Hahi. What does that mean? So there's the Mesuras Shas has a different interpretation of what's Tedura. Ki Tanya Hahi de Karmelei Halach. When he says Halach, says Rashi, here it is. He's not making a shvuah that's somewhere around and I can't find it now, and then maybe it got lost and stolen. No, halach, take it right now. Take it right now. So if he says halach, so therefore you can't say, well, maybe after the shvuah it's going to get lost or stolen. He said halach. So once he says halach, then the guy should take his animal back immediately. I don't want to watch anymore. I was a shomer for you. I was doing you a favor. Now you're accusing me of a thief? Halach, take it back. As soon as he says halach, even afterwards he makes a shvuah, that doesn't make any difference, because that guy was supposed to have taken it back. And that's it. So therefore, once he makes a shvuah in that case by saying halach, then he would be potter. However, Rav is talking about a case where he didn't say halach. He come in the kaima ba'agam. It's in the agam. And therefore, because of that, he didn't have the ability to give it back. The guy couldn't take it back. And therefore, in that situation, Rabbi will stay steadfast that you will be chayiv. Okay, now let's dissect this a little bit more. Atamacharti li. So you say I stole it? No, you sold it to me. So my moed be'ikarika. What exactly is he being moed? He says that you sold it. What exactly is being said over here? So it's he's saying, I didn't pay you for it, so now you can go and take it back. You sold it to me, but since I never paid for it, so I took it, but we never finished the transaction. I'm not a thief. I would have paid you for it, but you know what? I don't want to do business with it anymore. Take it back. So it's still a case of Halach. So he gave it to me, which means it's mine. So what do you mean, take it back, right? My moida be'ikarika. The oimerle almanas de avidnalach naicha de nafsha, on condition that basically I give it to you to appease your soul. I didn't do that for you, so shakal tarak v'zil. So basically, it was only given to me on condition, and because that condition wasn't met, so now you can take it back. Toye baderech mitzatziv, found it on the road. Lema, the owner of the ox should say, Yiboch ladurili. Understand, there's a mitzvah of Hashavas Aveda. Why don't you return it to me when you found it on the road? What that means you can keep it? There was a simon on it, maybe. So Rabuda Shmuel, b'aymer shvua aveda matzasi. He said, a shvua aveda matzasi. I found a lost object. I didn't know it was yours. I didn't know whose it was. So I held on to it, and hopefully I'd find the owner. And here you are. Okay, good. Take it back. Tanya, Omer ben Azai Gimel Shvuos saying there are three different shvuos, says Rashi, be'edus aveda, when it comes to the testimony of a lost object. Shishmias aid. Im re'isa es avedasi. If you find my lost object, the Yermel Lav, he says, no, I did not find your lost object, and then afterwards he admits to it. So he's basically claiming that it's not, he really stole it. He's being tointonos. Okay, he's saying that, I'm trying to like get the Maruba words in, but let's not do that. That he's actually being accused of stealing it, even though he says, no, it's not true. I didn't find your lost object. I have no idea what you're talking about. And the truth is, he did find the lost object. So what are the three shvuos regarding this? Hikar ba v'lo b'moitza. He recognizes it, but not the one who found it, says Rashi. He recognizes the Aveda. She'omer shira oisa mahalachas b'shus acheres. It was going in another person's property. Mihu. I don't know whose property the animal went. Back to the Gemara. But moitza, that you found him v'lo ba, but not the person, not it. As you found the person, but not it. It could be you don't know the person or where the animal is. So it's possible you may know it went into someone's property, but you don't necessarily know whose, or you know which animal it is, but you don't know where it is. Okay, so this, or you don't know nothing. Okay, so in either situation, understand? He's saying I don't know. He says I don't know anything. He's saying I don't know whose it is and which animal it is. So what's the whole problem over here? So the Gemara says Ema ba umamoitza, that I may know the animal and the person. So my hilchasas Rabbi Yomer Rabbi Chanina liftor Shmuel Omer l'chiv. What is this talking about? So let's look at Rashi. Hikar ba v'loy b'moitza. So again, let's see this whole Rashi. I recognize it, but not the founder of the Aveda. She'omer shira oisa mahalach b'sharam. I saw it in another property. Ve'eni yodeh mihu. I don't know whose it is. O hoda, or he admits shehikar b'moitza, that he recognizes v'lo ba. He doesn't know which animal it is. He could have said, I noticed this guy lost an animal. I don't know if it's yours. We're talking about also there's a witness there. So liftor, a kun pater aid. So if the aid is involved, then he's pater. It's actually machlokas Rav and Shmuel. So Rav Ami Omer Reb Chanina liftor Shmuel Omer l'chiyuv. Uputta dehani tenoi desanya. Hamashbiya eid echad pater. Says Rashi, if you have one witness that makes you make a shvua, the kafar, and you deny it, I don't, or this is talk about where one witness says, I do not know the testimony. So again, that the aid testifies that I do not know anything. So pater, says Rashi, now even though he lied, but this one witness really doesn't have much power anyway. So he's not going to bring a carbon for shvuas eidos. The most, if, let's say he did testify, because he knew testimony, but at the very most, all he could have done was make this guy have to make a shua himself. So maybe he'll force a guy to make a shvua. He's not going to make a shvua, and he'll end up admitting to it, and therefore the person will actually get his money back. This is considered to be, he's only a garma mamoin, and garma mamoin is potter. So according to Tanakama, it's a machlokes. Davar hagarma mamoin is lav kamamandami, according to them, and therefore, if you're an Eid Echad, it doesn't make a difference, even though you knew testimony and you say no, and you make a shvua to that extent, you're not going to be chayiv for shuas eidos. Rabbi Lezer, Rav Shimon machayiv. They say no, you're still chayiv, because after all, we can understand that this person could, as we said, cause someone else to make a shvua, and they're not going to want to make that shvua because they don't want to lie, and therefore they'll end up paying. So therefore, what is the whole basis of machlokas? But my k'mefgi, marsaver davar hagarma mamoin kamamandami. Marsaver lav kamamandami. That's mamish what the machlokas is, as we said. So Amrav Sheshus hakayfer b'bikadai nasalav gazlan v'chayiv ba'oinsin. Now this is even without a shvua, just by being kayfer. All you were is kayfer b'bikadai. In other words, you have someone's object in your property, and the guy says, I would like it back, and you're kayfer b'bikadai. You say, no, I don't have that. So you're considered to be a gazlan right off the bat. So it's not that you have to be toin tanas ganav, that you're ganav, and make a shvua, even without a shvua, because the fact that you deny that there's a pikadin by you, then you're chayiv right away. V'tanatuna, v'chichesh ba. So we said this pasuk before, that if you deny it, what do we learn out from here? Mulmanu oynish. So that is a punishment. That's harmonizing. How do we know the warning? Because you have to have an ashar as well in the Torah. Talmud Leimer lusachachashu. So my love oynish mamoin. It's coming to tell you that there's a chiyuv of mamoin in this case. Lo oynish shvua. We're talking about a situation of an oynish shvua. Says Rashi, it's only if you had to make a shvua. Hi oynish de anshe kra l'schayv oinsin is mishum shvua shekerhi. It's only if you actually made a shvua. But ilo ishtaba lo, because what we're saying over here is just by being kaifer b'bikadain. Even without a shvua, the din still is that you're going to be chayiv. But apparently it's not the case. We're learning up from v'chichesh, but that's not the case. Ha-minatani seifa tishtaba, but that is the case of the seifa. The reisha delo yishtaba must be the reisha. There is no shvua. The tani seifa v'nishba al shaker. He made a shvua sheker. Omadu oynish has harmonized Talmud Lemer l'tishakru. But the seifa tishtaba reisha delo yishtaba. So actually, this is not a question. This is tanatuna. This is to support the statement that we want to contrast. The Seif is talking about where there was a shvua. The Reish is talking about without a shvua. And therefore we see, by kofar, that's the Reish is talking about kofar b'kadain, they're going to be chayiv even without a shvua. So Amri no, idi yishtaba. Maybe kofar b'kadain alone is not enough to be chayiv, ba'oinsin. Maybe you'll be chayiv even, only if you make a shvua. So why does it have the Reish and the Seifa? Kan shahayda, kan shaba edim. One is when you admit yourself after the kfira, and one is witnesses come. Also, Eidim, understand, if witnesses come, chai b'oinsin, when you're chai b'oinsin, oidi, so oidi, chai b'keren chamish v'asham. This is what he's saying. So this is the difference. If the witnesses come, you're going to be chai b'oinsin. If you're moida, you're chai b'keren chamish and asham. That's all it's going to tell you. So there's, in both cases, it's dafka with a shvua. So if you make a shvua, then that's when you're gonna be chayv b'oinsin. However, witnesses come, then you'll be chayv b'oinsin. But if you admit, so you're gonna be chayv keren chaimish, and asham. Okay. Let's see if we have Rashi over here. Karbi kadun uva edim. So right, you're karbi kadun, and then witnesses come. Nasal of gazlan mishas kvira. Yavam bi shloi nishmo mekan ve'elach ein lo din d'shamachinam el chai b'oinsin im yanes. Okay. Let's see. All right, we'll stop. Let's stop there. Let's see a bunch of questions. Question 6. Hamashbiya sheker shiyayda lo yedus. So the guy says, I don't know anything. One witness. Yim chayim carbon shvua. So it's a machlokas. Whenever the question says umastadim zeh, you already know it's a machlokas. And the question is, do we hold davar garma moment kamam dami? Let's see if he writes it out at all. That's it. That's all he says. Question 7. Oimer Rav Sheshas. A kaifer bebi kadain, which means without means mashma without a shvua. Nasal of gazim chai ba'ointzin. So keitzim etaretz l'shitaso hadi yomer ilpa shvua kaina mashma de kvir loy kanya. Okay, we didn't completely do this. Did we touch upon it at all? No, we didn't see ilpa. That's going to be the next piece. Okay, that's going to be the next piece. Okay, well, that's it for that. TA 3. Hakaifer bibi kadain below shvua him asa gazlan. Good question. Im hayabrishuso hari hu gazlan. The kaima ba'agam enu gazlan. Let's think about this. This is by the case above. So if it's if it's brishuso hari hu gazlan, you're considered to be a gazlan. Okay, you know what, this is also gonna be tomorrow's daf. So we'll see that in tomorrow's daf. TB4 Al Ezet Sir Umarav Alpha Pishik Zel Inkan Hashava Inkan, which is the same question that we had on question 5, which is TB4. Let's see what I wrote. Im yeshtei chavilois shehem shava rap lepruta shava pruta the hichzir es echad mehem v'asheni shehu pachais mishava pruta tim yesh chiyav hashava. And the answer is no. Adkan.